Hello, and welcome to Fusion Writing, where building character meets character development. Today is the start of a whole new unit. Can you believe we're in the month of July already? The second half of the year. It's just amazing. It seems like we were just making New Year's sounds and making our resolutions and breaking them. And now already we're at the halfway point in the year. Well, this is an exciting new session that we have to talk about. And I will let us get started by turning it over to Victoria.
Hello, fellow anti-novelist friends, Lilligans, and faithful onlookers. As you can tell, if you look out the window, I am trundling north in the tundra. We are headed up to the boundary waters of Minnesota to do a canoe trip. So, number one, don't rock the boat. Number two, don't get wet. I've got my list of rules in my head. So this will be live from the road. I will have a worksheet for you, but it will probably be posted after I get back, which will be after the 4th of July holiday. So if you want to grab the worksheet, you'll have to pop back over to get that. With all that said, I didn't want to miss a session because number one, I know that you guys look forward to this, and number two, I look forward to this time as well. So here we go. For my portion of the compass telling you what direction we're headed for this session, I'm going to be covering scenes and sequels. Now, I've made reference to this in other videos when we're talking about story structure and plot, but I want to really break it down for you so that you can start to think about it in terms of your own story. How do you get those words on the page? And then how do you move your story forward? So I'm going to cover specifically a scene and a sequel and what those are and how you break them down. And then I'm going to abstract that out into from chapter to chapter so that you're moving your story along, from act 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4 so that you're moving your story along, and then over the architecture of the 8 major plot points. So you've got the worm's eye view all the way stair stepping up to the high level view so that you're always looking around at your story and figuring out how are you going to get your characters from point A to point B all the way to Z, and what that's going to look like in the writing process. So hopefully I will give you some handy tips and tricks that you can use to write scenes and sequels through chapters and get that book finished. So with that said, I will hand it off to my esteemed colleague, Kathleen.
Thank you, Victoria. I'm really looking forward to that presentation tomorrow on our map. Well, what I'm covering today is a subgroup of empathy. Remember, we have now covered all four of our character trait groups. We began with resilience, which was fighting against the physical world. And then we went on from that to balance. How do we keep control of ourselves? Then from there, we went on to insight. How do we judge our world and make sense of it and make predictions? And the last one we covered was empathy. And empathy is how do we get along with others and how do we relate well with others? Well, empathy is by far the largest group of character traits. Well, it stands to reason so much of our life is lived in community, and community is so incredibly important. Well, empathy has 4 different subgroups, and we're going to take a look at the first subgroup of empathy in this session. In the map especially, we'll dive down in a little more detail. We're going to be talking about the dependability subgroup. Dependability is how much and how well can the other actors in your story depend on this character. Does he come through? Is he responsible? Is he trustworthy? Is he sincere? Is he loyal? Many of these same 4 traits, we'll dive into them in a little bit more detail when we look at the map. So that is all for today for the compass. Join us tomorrow when we talk in a little bit more detail about both walking through our story with scenes and sequels and in the character traits of dependability. Victoria?
Oh, excellent. Excellent. So it's always amazing to me how germane our topics are to each other. They dovetail beautifully. So as we're talking tomorrow during the map session about scenes and sequels, you're going to see really good examples of how this specific set of character traits can suggest to you what your scenes and sequels should be based on what characters are doing, how they're acting. So just a quick example of that is trustworthiness. If someone does something that demonstrates that they aren't trustworthy, the other characters have to respond to that. And that's the sequel to revealing that trait. So we're going to dive into this and have a blast as we start to talk about how these things interact. But with that said, we will wrap up and we will get ready to see you tomorrow for the map session. Take care.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.